What's up, guys?
On this week's show,
Detective Pikachu.
the new Lex Luthor,
And should video games change?
plus
Ask us anything.
all that and more on this episode.
Of One Giant Leap for Geeks.
That's one small step for man, one giant leap for
Geeks. Welcome to another episode of OGLFG, where we talk about movies, video games, and all things in geek culture. I'm your host, Mike C. Squared. And with me are my co-hosts, Benoit.
Bubble tea is weird.
And DJ Melly Mel.
Hey!
We are, unfortunately, at that time of the year where the white stuff is coming down from the sky, and I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of been making me depressed. I'm not one of those people who I'm all like, bah humbug, I hate Christmas and this, that, and the other. I just hate the winter.
Yeah, winter's a different animal in and of itself.
Yeah, I'm not big on snow, so yeah.
You live in the wrong state if you hate winter.
I know. I should have moved years ago.
You need to move to Australia because their Santa Claus comes in on a surfboard wearing board shorts.
Holy shit.
Like,
that is awesome.
well, because their winter is our summer.
Yeah.
So their seasons are reversed.
Yeah.
So their Santa Claus in their Christmas time, he's wearing like board shorts
That's
and
awesome.
Sunglasses and flip flops. So
He's like doing pull-ups on the beach and shit.
yeah. You just need to move to Australia, and then you wouldn't have to worry about it.
Well, then why not just move to anywhere in the southern hemisphere?
You're
Like
pretty
South
much, yeah.
Africa.
Yeah.
Well, not necessarily South Africa, but like the south part of the African continent. Or
Because
I would love to see
Australia's
Wakanda.
beautiful. Yeah, there you go. Go live in
What you mean?
Wakanda.
No, but
how can I be geographically as far away from my family as possible?
right, pretty much.
Aussie.
Yeah, pretty much. I had an experience this week where I went to a hibachi restaurant for the first time. It was this place in Fenton, Michigan called Goki Goki. And shout out to them because it was a really good service. Our waitress was really nice. I have never done the whole cooking your own food in front of you at the table thing, but it was really good. Like, I forced myself to use chopsticks the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
It was not easy, but I chopsticked the whole way through, and it was just really nice.
You never been to like a hibachi, like Mongolian barbecue or
No.
anything like that? Oh my god!
Or if I've been to something like that, they cooked it and you kind of watched them do it. I never
Sure.
got to cook it myself.
Okay.
So this was a
I
different
got you.
learning curve, and it was Korean food too. So
Okay.
not to be confused with Chinese food. This is not
No,
the
not
same
Chinese,
thing. Like,
not
even a little
Japanese.
bit.
Korean is a whole separate.
Yeah. But it was good though. It was good though.
Awesome. Well, I will have to go down there and take T-Money and go
Yeah, you guys
take
check it out. I think you'll like it.
Hey, we were looking for somewhere for New Year's, so
There you go.
hint, hint, wink, wink.
I'll send you pictures too of like the setup and stuff because it was really cool. It's like the little stove is like built, or the grill is like built down into the table, so it's
yeah.
flush and shit.
They got a
It's
place like
cool.
that in Saginaw, but it's a Japanese grill,
Mhm.
and you sit around the table, and the little guy cooks it for you.
Right, because that's more of what I'm used to as
Sure.
opposed to what we
That
do.
that was an experience.
Yeah, but no, other than that, just getting ready for Black Friday. Because of those of you who don't know, I'm not gonna say exactly where, but I work in retail, and oh god, I'm dreading this coming Friday. Like, we're gonna make it through. I mean, we finally got staffed up enough, I hope. But yeah, I'm not looking forward to this, especially because last year we were allowed to close earlier.
Mm-hmm.
And like, because basically we did like a 6 p.m. till midnight, and then turned around and did like a 6 a.m. on
So
Black
you still
Friday
had
morning.
6 hours. To...
Yeah. But this year they're making us stay open through the whole night.
Oh,
And my
hell
particular
no.
retail store, the demographic that shops there, is not going to be coming there at 3 a.m. So, to buy stuff. So I'm just like, yeah, I'm not looking too forward to that.
That sounds awful.
Yeah. But next week we may talk about Black Friday a little bit too, and just like consumerism and the irony of the day before, like literally 24 hours before you're supposed to be so thankful and happy about the things you have, and then you're ready to kill somebody for some shit the next day. So
Well, we are actually going Black Friday shopping.
I pray for your soul.
So I will tell you how kind of craziness.
All right, R.I.P. DJ Melly.
Yeah.
T Money.
Say my Hail Marys
Right.
now.
But what about you, Mel? What you been doing this week?
Let's see. I worked to the point of a nervous breakdown. And then my wonderful boyfriend took me to go see Bohemian Rhapsody so that I could regain my focus and not kill somebody.
So here, give me a quick 10-second review. Just how did you like it? What would you rate it?
Oh my god. Really fucking liked it.
Okay.
Like, if there was something above really fucking liked it.
Wow.
From beginning to end, loved the soundtrack. Loved the songs that they picked. Mm-hmm. Absolutely loved how they portrayed everybody that, the band and the directors, like the behind the scenes guys that you don't see, the record labels and the producer guys and the bandmates' families and their interactions with each other and just the other people that were important to them. Absolutely loved it. So if you have not seen it, it is definitely one to go see in theaters.
Nice.
Especially if you can get in one of those theaters where the sound moves.
Mm-hmm.
Because there are
just some rumble seats. There you go.
Yeah, there are several points where you get immersed in the music and complete 180 of my. That's how great this movie was. I went in there and so annoyed and pissed off. Breathing funny made me weird. Mm-hmm. And I just wanted to snap at somebody. And leaving, I was totally fine. I was happy. I was relaxed.
Good.
It was great. So
it's this movie changed my life.
It definitely changed my day.
Well, good.
I was literally nervous breakdown, point of tears and snapping at everybody. I was not in a good place.
It's never a good thing.
No, it's not. So this movie definitely was worth it.
All right, Benoit, what about you?
Not a goddamn thing.
Yeah.
No. Let's see. I actually did record myself playing Super Mario World. Mm-hmm. It's not official. The time is not SDA approved. But I can say by looking at the list, I am within the top 200 with speed running times.
Nice.
Despite the fact it was a casual playthrough and I died a lot.
Uh-huh.
I don't know whether I'm going to edit that at all or just kind of put up the file raw. I'll leave that up to all you listeners to determine what I do with that.
Okay.
I'm a couple weeks out of the Mega Man Marathon. I'm currently streaming The Messenger on Twitch. That is when my ISP doesn't do the same thing it does every 2 months and just stops working.
That sucks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I tend to have issues with... I'd name them, but they might completely cut me off. So I'm not going to do that.
Right. You just go dark, yeah. You're having service problems in your area, sir. Sorry.
And you were talking about, wishing the best for her when she shops on Black Friday. No, if you're a Black Friday shopper, fuck you. I feel bad for all the employees who have to work at all the stores and deal with your shit.
Yeah, because it's going to be... people... There are some people who can be nice about it, but most of the people are going to be fucking assholes.
I would say I do have to, kind of, I don't know, defend myself here. I do say thank you to all of the cashiers.
Yeah, sure.
I'm very pleasant. I know that the lines are going to be long. I know that people are going to be going crazy and running everybody over. And I still say excuse me, and I still make sure that I'm still a pleasant shopper, okay? I'm not like a Black Friday shopper where I'm like, rawr, I'm going to fight you over these 50-cent towels here. That's not how it's going to go down. If I get to the things that I'm going for, then great. If I can find them at a cheaper price, even better. If I get there and everything's completely cleared out, you know what? Cyber Monday is still a thing, so I can still order online.
Oh, yeah. On top of that, too, I also began playing Resident Evil 5 with a buddy. Shout out Ness Conquers All. I recorded my end where I play as Chris Redfield. I'm currently in the midst of editing that, and I think I will be uploading that in installments on YouTube once it's complete. It is a blind playthrough, so it is... Well, let's just say I think it's going to be somewhat entertaining. Other than that, I am not looking forward to winter. I do live in the wrong state for this. We all live in the wrong state.
Hey, I enjoy winter, thank you. I say that as I'm sitting here in a wool sweater and
I know, right, and
big
like a
leather
jacket, yeah.
But I do enjoy winter. Sorry.
There's nothing wrong with being layered, and I like a woman in a good scarf. Don't get it twisted. It's just snow. On itself, innately, it is very pretty. I like how when it's a clear sky and there's a lot of snow out, you can see because like the moonlight just bounces off of it. That's very nice. I just don't like driving in it or other. Well,
Fair.
actually, I don't mind driving in it. I don't like other people driving in it.
True.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm more concerned with other folks than myself.
True.
That's fair.
And then when I have to shovel it, it's just more work. It's just nature making me work, and I already have to work. I don't want to work more.
Yeah, tell me about it. Yeah, between
Also,
leaves in the fall and snow in the winter, yeah.
Yeah. And apparently, according to Miss Francine, my job's being automated. So I don't know how much longer I'm going to be a part of this podcast.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm just going to get it to the point where I can just get our little, new co-host, our little artificial AI to just take over all duties, and then, it'll be like that movie Her with Joaquin Phoenix where he like falls in love with like his computer program and shit. Yeah. If I could give her the voice of Scarlett Johansson, then yeah, you guys have been replaced.
Everything inside of me is just throwing fireballs at you right now.
Mel,
like,
Mel is not happy.
if you
about
guys
Francine.
could see the look on my face,
Yeah.
I'm very, very against robots doing things for us.
Well, here's a face I want people to see.
I am the Will Smith in iRobot. Let's just put it that way.
Oh, okay. All right.
Oh, okay.
Like,
All
No, there was actually a Canadian film where a guy falls in love and fucks his computer.
Oh.
It's a comedy. Yeah, it's a comedy. He bangs his PCs, drills a hole into him, and goes to town.
I was going to say,
I was
did
just saying,
he
like-
specialize a penis port or...
No, he just opens up the disk drive and just closes it.
Well, I mean, there's a reason why they call it a floppy drive.
Oh, nice. All right. Anyway.
It wasn't hard.
Oh, my God. Moving on.
Please do.
We have something that has taken the internet by storm, I guess you could say. I keep seeing memes going around of like people saying like Warner Brothers like, oh, we're gonna get Ryan Reynolds to do the voice of Pikachu, and the internet's like whatever. And then it's like Detective Pikachu trailer comes out, and the internet it's like, and then it's just a picture of Pikachu like when he's like, oh, like looking up like that from the movie, and I was like, yeah, that's pretty much the reaction I had to the Detective Pikachu trailer. Like, I don't know how this went under my radar for so long. I didn't know anything about this. Like, nothing.
No, I didn't either. Like last week, I think you showed me the trailer.
Yeah, I had heard nothing about this. And I guess I've been going around in circles for a while, but they didn't make a big stink about it. And then when this trailer came out, I was like, because before I even knew Ryan Reynolds was in it, all I just saw was the title. And then it was coming from Warner Brothers. And I was like, oh, they're making another Pokemon movie. And I'm like, but it's going to be a live action Pokemon movie. So I was like, okay, I'll check it out. And, it opens and it's kind of showing the world of Pokemon and, like, all the people walking around with their little Pokemon, which I have not played the games all like that. And I never really watched the cartoon all that much. Somewhere here and there, but I was more of a Digimon person than a Pokemon. So if you guys can help me here, I would appreciate it. I was under the impression that the Pokemon lived inside the Pokeballs.
No.
No.
That's where they're stored.
Yeah, sure, when they're caught, but they don't just like roam the city though. They're not like alley cats.
Yeah,
and
they
shit.
do. They walk around
they do.
with the humans and stuff.
With their like masters or trainers or whatever.
They're trainers.
Okay, so all right,
Like, Ash or Pikachu belongs to Ash.
sure, but he's the only one that ever does that. He never walks around with like Charizard just walking out with him and
That's
shit.
because Pikachu's his best friend.
Oh Lord.
It's his favorite.
Okay.
But Misty walks around with Squirtle,
Okay.
and
So,
then
like, the
later on
harmless
in like the
ones.
Togepi.
Okay.
And Brock has Onyx, I believe.
Yep, Brock has Onyx.
Okay, because it just threw me off at first because I was like, shouldn't the Pokemon be like out in the woods? Isn't that where you catch them at normally? But okay, these are like the trainers or just because
Basically,
that was the
they
thing that was throwing me off.
coexist.
Is everyone a trainer in this world? Does everyone own
No.
Pokemon?
No.
Because
No.
the way, at least, like I said, we're looking at the trailer out of context, so we
Mm-hmm.
don't know what that scene was from. But that opening shot when he's like walking out and it's just a sea of people and there's Pokemon everywhere walking
Right.
with him, and I'm just like, are these people all trainers?
It's
or?
not that everybody's a trainer, but everybody's aware that the Pokemon exists.
Sure, because I know that Pokemon
So they're
are
kind of
basically
like
the
house
animals
pets. Yeah.
of this world, which is
Well,
kind of
yeah.
fucked up because that means that they eat the Pokemon. Because there's no deer and shit like that, or cows. Everything's Pokemon, right?
Actually, no, there is a cow Pokemon.
No, there's...
But still,
Pokemon-
though, but Pokemon are like the animals of this universe, right?
Well, essentially,
Essentially.
there is no difference between animals and Pokemon. They are one and the same.
Okay, all right.
I don't know that...
Like even dogs are Pokemon.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
They never
okay.
said anything specifically about how they ate, though.
Yeah, because that's what I'm like, what if the humans eat?
It
That's
never...
Well, I still assume that humans are omnivores, so yeah, I'm sure they eat Pokemon too.
All right. Hell yeah, some deep fried
And
Pikachu
Pokemon
good.
eat other Pokemon.
Yeah, they have the Pokemon that eat each other.
All right, hell yeah, that seahorse one. I bet you that shit good. You throw that shit on the grill. But no, the idea of this movie, it sounds stupid, but in execution, this could actually be really, really good.
I'll say it kind of looks cute.
Yeah,
I
think
mean,
it's funny.
The
too.
way that they've got the little Pokemon designed and CG'd in there,
Mhm.
they're really cute looking.
So okay, I want to ask real quick: are you guys fur or no fur for Pikachu? Because apparently this is the whole battle on the internet right now. People are arguing whether or not Pikachu should have had fur.
He kind of does a little bit from the trailer.
Pikachu is essentially a rat.
Yeah.
It's essentially like a mouse.
Yeah.
Yeah, mouse have hair, fur.
Yeah,
whatever.
that's made sense to me.
Right.
And people are like, well, in the cartoon, I was like, well, they couldn't animate him to look furry. You know,
right.
I was like, it
to
was
be
a
fair, the
cheap-ass
cartoon came out in like the 90s.
Yeah, but I
So
mean,
that-
animation, didn't like develop overnight or some shit. But
Right.
I get
no,
your
no,
point
but
you're
I mean,
making,
it
though.
wasn't as advanced as it is.
No. That show has never been one for like, the art style in the Pokemon
Right.
show was
No,
so good.
it's basically stripped from the Pokemon anime.
Yeah.
So I've seen Pikachu in the trailer. It looks like he has a little bit of fur to him.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I kind of like it. It makes him feel more
Yeah, 'cause
legitimate.
It would be weird if he was just yellow skin, like
Yeah.
a Siamese cat or
I
some
say
shit.
he shouldn't be like a naked mole rat or anything.
Yeah, no. Oh god.
He looks like a mouse in
Yeah.
a sense.
Right.
I'm fine with that.
If a mouse, a cat, and a rabbit all had a baby, it
Yeah,
would be Pikachu.
something like that.
Because he kind of has like a almost like a feline nose and mouth, but then he has them big ass like rabbit ears, and then his body's kind of like mousy, and yeah. This could technically, and it's a goddamn shame that it's going to be this movie, but this could probably be our first good video game movie. Which is weird to say that for a movie about Pokemon.
Is Pokemon a video game though?
Yeah, Pokemon was a game before it was
Yeah,
anything else.
Pokemon's a video game.
Yeah,
Was it a
Hell,
It was a game before it was an anime or anything
really?
else.
I
Yep.
thought it was an anime first and then everything else
Nope.
followed.
Nope.
no, it was a video game released on the Game
On the
Boy
Game
in
Boy.
Japan
Mhm.
back in '95, I want to say. Then the anime came out, but it never got big in the U.S. until '98.
Yeah, till like almost the 2000s.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah. It was came out with two versions, I believe, green and red, and then when it came over to the States, it became blue and red.
Well,
Then a year later, they released a yellow version, which was purely like Pikachu.
right.
Was the main
I
one.
remember on the Game Boy. I remember that. But I thought that previous to that coming out, the reason that it was so big and so popular was because one, it was this anime over in Japan, and two, it was the card game.
Yeah, no.
They were all released in tandem
Yeah.
here in the U.S.
Yeah, by the
Okay.
time it got
But
to
no.
us, yeah, but it had been in Japan for a few years prior to that before we got hip to it.
Okay.
Usually that's how a lot of things start. Like, you know how like there was that whole Attack on Titan craze a few years ago. Like Attack on Titan had already been a thing for a while before we caught on to it, just like Death Note and a lot of other stuff. Like like the hardcore people who are into anime and shit like that will know about it right when it comes out. But for the most part, the mainstream, population in the U.S. don't catch for a while.
Also,
And despite the fact that we had like Voltron and
Right.
Dragon Ball, it really wasn't until Pokemon came out. Like the Japanese, whomever it was that decided to release this specifically in the U.S. was smart. They realized even though it's anime, it's a cartoon. Let's sell this to kids.
Right.
And Pokemon is actually the real anime that really helped bring anime into popularity in the U.S.
Oh, yeah.
yeah. Especially for like Saturday morning cartoons and
Yeah,
shit.
yeah. According to the series producer of Pokemon, The idea of the name came from a mouse-like animal called a pika, and then derived from a combination of two Japanese sounds. Pika, a sound for an electronic spark, and chew, the sound that a mouse makes.
Nice. Well,
So it's actually based off a real animal that kind of looks like Pikachu in the face.
interesting. So yeah, it's a little mouse pretty much, yeah.
It's a little, like, Japanese mouse.
So since...
And
Oh, go ahead.
no, I'm gonna say it makes sense. This is coming out too. This may seem to be quite soon. Detective Pikachu was a game. It
Yep.
actually got released here in the U.S.
Yep.
6 months ago. I mean, it's a 2-year-old game, but it got released here like 6 months ago.
Mhm.
So I'm more than sure. They decided, hey, we're gonna make a movie about this. And to be honest, they probably began producing the film before the game even came out in the U.S.
Right, because they were like, oh, why not jump on this while it's still in the cultural zeitgeist and
Sure.
people are still talking about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's
I
kind
get
of
it.
and it's kind of like Pokemon seems to always keep coming in waves.
Mm-hmm.
Like it never really goes
Yeah,
away
like every 10
completely.
years or so.
Yeah, because it's like, it was like the first exposure to Pokemon, then it kind of died down, and then like they did the Pokemon movies, and it kind of died down, then, like the different games came out, like Blue and Diamond and all that,
Right.
then Pokemon Go came out, and so... You were going to say something?
Well, yeah. I was going to say it never really died down. Just every couple of years, they just added some new stuff to it, a new generation or something. Pokemon's, for the past 20 years, Pokemon's just continuously, no pun intended, evolved.
Nice.
Personally, I don't like Pokemon. I don't like it.
Yeah.
I understand some of the appeal, but I genuinely don't like it. I don't like the games.
Yeah.
I've
never
I
been a
might see
fan.
this movie in the sense that I'm, relatively familiar with the universe, so they won't have to explain a lot to me. And to be honest, they're kind of lucky that way. They're not going to have to put a lot of exposition out.
Mm-hmm.
I might watch it just because I like the concept of like an animal that's a detective that can talk to humans. It's very like Turner and Hooch.
Yeah, I was
except
just thinking
you
that.
can actually communicate.
Yeah.
Can
If
you
they could
imagine-
somehow get Tom Hanks in this movie,
I would
I'd
say
be
if
happy.
if you had Turner and Hooch and he could talk, do you really think that he would have to be all slobbery and stuff? You just look at him and be like, "Hey, I slobber. Get over it."
Yeah, right. With them nabbing Ryan Reynolds to do the voice of Pikachu, though, it made me start thinking like, what like other Pokemon characters could they get like famous actors? Pretty much. I just want Sam Jackson to be Mewtwo. Is basically what I'm getting at. Like the whole reason that I'm even
Oh
bringing
my
this up.
god!
Because like I was like, man, if they could fit Sam Jackson somewhere into the movie, or even like Psyduck. Like that character, like he's a little bit more obscure, but all he says is just Psyduck over and over again, and I'm just like, if y'all can pay whatever y'all pay Vin Diesel to say I am Groot over and over again, I'm
Right.
sure you could get Sam Jackson to say Psyduck.
Well, that's the thing with the Pokemon is they always just repeated their names over and over.
Well, that apparently, according to this
Except
movie,
for-
that's what we hear.
Right.
What they really are talking is just that we can't
Sure.
understand it. Apparently,
Yeah, that's the Dr. Doolittle game.
Yeah.
They're all actually communicating with each other and they understand one another. It's just us as humans can't.
Yeah, all we hear
Right,
is
we
Pika
don't
Pika.
we don't
and-
speak their language.
Yeah.
It's Dr. Doolittle.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was I kind
However, there is at least one that I'm familiar with, Meowth, that actually does speak English.
Yeah.
Yeah.
but
He's,
he had like a weird backstory where they trained him to speak English or he trained himself to speak English or something. I remember watching an episode of Pokemon where he explains why he's the only one that can
talk.
actually speak.
Mhm. But yeah, I mean,
Not too long ago, actually.
one way or another, I am excited for this more so than I thought I would ever be for a Pokemon movie, and I'm just like, okay, like I'll give this a shot. Like I thought it was a stupid idea, but seeing it in execution, I'm like, this could actually be pretty good.
I really want to see them. I like the idea. I understand, and I think it's kind of cute, the idea of a Pokemon being a detective.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I was almost thinking of like Ace. I want this to be like Law and Order Pokemon. I want to see them in court.
With Pikachu,
Oh,
in,
arguing in
yeah,
front of a judge.
Pikachu in his suit.
That would be awesome. I want
You
the
will be
truth.
judged by a jury of your Pokemons.
That'd be awesome.
I want the truth. You can't handle the truth. Oh, isn't he so cute? And then, of course, because it's Ryan Reynolds, be like, fuck you.
Right. One last thing before we jump off of this. I do think it's funny that they got Ryan Reynolds to do the voice of Pikachu because in the comics and in his lore, Deadpool is like obsessed with Pikachu.
Uh-huh.
So I'm like, it's ironic that now Ryan Reynolds is doing Deadpool and Pikachu.
I wonder if that's why they pitched it to him.
Maybe. It was like, hey, we can't steal him to do one of these DC movies, but we can get him to do Pikachu, goddammit. Like, we're going to get him some kind of way.
I'm actually surprised that Ryan Reynolds is putting out 2 PG-13 movies in the same year.
Yeah, because they're doing the Deadpool Christmas special.
The Christmas special of
re-releasing
Deadpool,
it, yeah.
and that's PG-13.
Which I don't know how I feel about that.
And I'm sure that this Detective Pikachu is nothing more than PG-13. And that's pushing it.
Yeah.
It'll probably be PG, but
yeah, no, it'll be PG-13 because they had that gag where he's like doing the mime thing, and he's saying you can shove it. So I'm like,
maybe
they're gonna have some adult humor for sure. So the other trailer that we saw this week was for Tim Burton's Dumbo. And it actually, at least in my opinion, when we saw the teaser trailer a few weeks back, I was like, this looks like this could be good. Like,
yeah.
It has some elements of some Tim Burton stuff that I like and some elements of stuff that I don't like from him.
Right.
Because I like his visual style and his imagination. I just think that he kind of gets too emo and into that,
sometimes, yeah.
Dark, twisted fantasy shit.
And you know what's funny is the dark, twisted is the Tim Burton that I like.
Really?
Beetlejuice
Sure.
and Batman Beyond.
Batman Returns, yeah.
Returns. I don't know why I said Batman Beyond. Beetlejuice, Batman Returns, Edward Scissorhands. Yeah. Those are all the Tim Burtons that I like.
Mm-hmm.
When you start getting into like Alice in Wonderland, and
but see, I think that's what I don't like is because he takes something that's not meant to be dark like that. Yes, Alice in Wonderland, that story does have some like kind of psychological, trippy, a little bit darker elements to it with the Queen and all that stuff.
Sure.
But I think he puts too much of that in there. He kind of ruins the story.
Yeah, like the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory that came out.
Yeah, all that kind of shit. I'm like, it's too weird.
The weird stuff is what gets me.
He gets, very gothic, very dark humor, very new romantic, very...
but yeah, like...
Very like, I'm a 15-year-old guy who just resonates when I hear AFI. It's
like he listens to a lot of screamo music. He wears all black. He has eyeliner. And he's like scribbling in his notebook.
Simple Plan when I'm having a good day.
I mean, I don't know. I just, like I said, the dark stuff that he did early 90s.
Sure, yes.
That is...
I think he's
Tim Burton.
Yes,
to me.
and I think he excels at that when it's appropriate.
Yeah.
I just think that he puts that on almost everything he does, and it doesn't always fit with the properties that he's making. That's when I get kind of leery about him. But this looks like it has a decent balance of both. That it has some of that like kind of weird, creepy with the circus stuff, in the trailer, but then it still kind of has that heart.
Yeah.
Especially with the scene like from the, the old cartoon where like they're taking Dumbo's mother away and they're like hugging trunks and stuff. And I was like, oh, they did the thing.
Yeah, I think this is a good balance for him. And this is going to end up, my biases aside, I think that it's going to be a decent movie. Now, am I going to want to rush to go see it? No. Am I going to see it in theaters? More than likely.
Sure.
It's not at the top of my list.
That's fair. Did you see that we got the whole Goon Squad back together? Minus Michelle Pfeiffer, and Christopher Walken, which he may be in this. We don't know.
Yeah, we only have a limited cast.
Yeah, got the whole cast back from Batman Returns. They got Keaton in here. They got DeVito in here. And I was like, shit, if y'all could get Walken and Pfeiffer, man, we had a whole crew back together. It's like... Christopher Walken ain't doing much right now. Just go get
I
him.
want to say, I ain't nobody
do
heard
the
from
voice of
Christopher
something.
Walken in a while since Jungle Book.
You know what they can do? They can get Christopher Walken to do the voice of the mouse. Because you see the mouse in the trailer, but he doesn't talk or anything.
Timmy.
Yeah, and
Timothy.
I'm wondering if they're gonna do anything with because we know that they're gonna have the little trippy scene, not like it is in the cartoon where Dumbo gets drunk and he starts seeing the purple elephants, but they have some kind of scene where they're performing in the circus and they have like these like purple bubbles that they turn into elephants. You see it in the trailer for like a quick flash. They show them doing them like big hoop, like blowing bubble things.
Oh, yeah,
and
yeah.
it makes like the shape of this purple elephant. And I'm like, okay, so they're going to kind of pay homage to that because I was curious if they would have that. Because I'm guessing you haven't seen the cartoon or
Not
you haven't seen
in
it in a really long time. There's a part where Dumbo and
I
the mouse
honestly
get
don't
drunk.
even know if I've made it through the whole thing.
You should watch it. It's a short little, like, maybe 90-minute thing, hour and a
I would
half
say
tops.
most Disney's only
Yeah, especially that
90 minutes or less.
No, actually, Dumbo was one of the shortest animated films they ever
So
made.
even less than that then.
It's a little over an hour.
Oh, well, see, yeah. Because like I said, it's short. It's not very long.
Huh.
It was actually meant to be intentionally short and simple.
Yeah, because for the most part,
Because there were
only the mouse is the only, and the crows are like the only characters that really speak. Because Dumbo himself doesn't talk, right?
no.
Yeah.
But it's not just that. It's because they made this intentionally that way to try and recap some of the losses from Fantasia. Because this was after the war.
Oh, okay.
It was after World War II.
Yeah, Dumbo was like, what, the 50s?
No, 41.
41.
It was like literally right after World War II. Or,
well,
near the end of it.
Okay.
Near the end of it.
I mean, I don't know. Like, I think...
Well, I guess middle of it because 40. But still,
Sure.
Yeah.
Because the war.
But no, I think of all like the Disney remakes that are coming out, I think this one I'm looking the most forward to. Because
Really?
I want to see Aladdin, but I haven't seen anything from it yet. So it's like I don't have anything besides the fact that I know Will Smith's going to be in it. So it's like, well, what do I have to go off of? And I know that they're making a Lion King, but I haven't seen anything
Yeah,
from
we
it.
haven't
So,
seen anything from
yeah,
Lion
it's like,
King.
what am I? Well, I have nothing to go off of.
I don't know. I'm more excited for those two, I think, even though I haven't seen anything, just for the simple fact that Lion King and Aladdin,
Yeah, I like those movies better.
they are my childhood.
Yeah.
Like, I still am 27 years old, and I have Hakuna Matata plastered in my kitchen.
Oh, yeah.
And every time I go to Five and Below, I'm looking for a size shirt that fits me. They have one that says Hakuna Matata, and it's like the shadow where they're walking across the log.
Oh, okay.
And then they have one of Aladdin, and it's the entire cast, and it's on like a blue shirt. And every time I go in these damn stores, I'm looking for my size.
On a sidebar, shout out Five Below. I don't think your employees can make a lot of money with your business model, but goddamn, you got some cool shit.
No kidding.
Yeah.
I love that
Oh
store.
my god.
And I don't think
Where-
they have them everywhere, do they?
No.
I think they're national, but they're not like super.
Right,
No, yeah. There's not one in like every city or nothing.
Right. They're in the big cities.
No, but
probably.
we got one.
Yeah, I know. It's just,
Well, you don't got one. I
I
got
would
one.
say not here where I live.
There's
but-
one in Flint, though.
Yeah, there's one in Flint. Yeah.
Oh, there is?
Yeah, it's out on Miller Road.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's been within the last like 5-6 years though. That hasn't been out there for.
Yeah,
a
no,
super
it's
long
recent.
time. But yeah, anything else on Dumbo before we jump off?
I mean, I just really hope that there aren't any clowns. I can't.
Oh, there's gonna be clowns.
Can't with the
There's
damn
gonna be
clowns.
strong men. There's gonna be like
There will be.
bearded women and like
Bearded
twins
women
and
are
shit.
okay, and
Yeah.
strongman guys, sure. I just can't do
You
clowns.
just everybody who watches this who's seen the original animated film needs to realize that this is going to be not just because it's going to be live action, but because it's 2018 and not 1941. This is going to be significantly different.
Yeah.
Sure.
The basic premise may be the same, but if you've ever watched any Disney cartoons or films from like before the 60s, it is not PC. There's a character in the Dumbo film named Jim Crow.
Yeah, I almost forgot about that. Yeah. So yeah, to Ben's point, yeah, there's well, it's a group of crows. But I don't know if they name the other two, but
no, they're just the main one.
yeah, but they are basically the hip hop bots from Transformers and shit. The hey brother and all that shit. Like
Yeah.
they were of their time. They didn't quite the vernacular that I'm using now, but it was very like some lowly educated, like Southern, like African American
Like
person.
very stereotypical.
Yeah, it was bad.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, like, are they just not going to bring the crows into this? Because I didn't see them in the trailer.
I think I heard something about the crows are going to be there, but they're not going to be named Jim.
And I hope that they don't have them going, sup, brother?
Well, I mean,
what it do? Look at them ears, Jack. Like,
even if they put them in there, I think that the lack of calling them Jim Crows is probably trying to swing around away from that. I don't know. We'll have to see.
And also, this is also going to end up, it probably already has to some extent, but this is going to end up bringing up some extra controversy. Maybe a lot, maybe not a lot, but some about just how animals are treated in the circus.
I was just thinking about that, like animal cruelty and like their living conditions and shit like that on the circus. Yeah.
And speaking about animal cruelty, we just got done talking about Pokemon, the game that glorifies
right. Yep.
Making animals fight one another. Michael
Vick.
One of the main reasons I hate that, Michael Vick. One of them.
Yeah. Moving on.
Welcome, humans, to One Giant Leap for Geeks, Ask Us Anything. This is your opportunity to have your questions answered by the all-knowing enlightened ones. Or just some assholes on a podcast. If your putrid flesh sack is compelled to submit your questions, you may do so on Twitter at GiantLeap4Geeks, or email them to officialOGLFG@gmail.com. The first question, sent by ThatDailyGhost to ThatDailyGhost on Twitter. What was the first horror/thriller film you've seen?
The first one that I saw. I want to say it was Chucky?
I was thinking that myself.
Child's Play.
Child's Play. Before they started calling him Chucky. I want to say that it was Child's Play. My mom didn't really let us watch horror movies or, stuff like that until we were older. As most parents should.
Yeah.
She was real strict with it though. And I think that one day my grandpa was watching Child's Play and he's just like, "Oh, it's okay, come on and
there's toys in it.
Come sit with grandpa. You be all right."
Stabbing the shit out of them.
And I'm fairly certain that it was Chucky. That's the first one that I can really remember.
It's like, it's fine. There's a toy in it. He's like, sweetheart, he's screaming like Latin into the sky of like growing clouds and shit and trying to like possess the soul of this little boy or take his soul and possess his body.
He didn't do all that. He's just like, it's okay. You can come watch it. Mom's at work.
It's all good. Whatever.
I have to say it's Child's Play because I can't remember anything prior to that because all the other horror, slasher, thriller, all that nonsense I saw when I was older. So, Child's Play.
All right. What about you, Benoit?
I don't remember specifically, so I'm going to have to go with like my earliest memory of watching anything like that. And I had like a double feature, and it was Total Recall and The Shining. And so this had to be like 1990.
Okay.
And so I guess the earliest memory I have of watching something, I would have been like, 5 or would have been 5. The earliest memory I have is watching The Shining. And that's not exactly a slasher unless you count the point where she slices his hand.
Well,
but that'd probably be my earliest memory of, I guess, a horror film.
That's a good one, though.
Yeah. And he did say horror/thriller, so I that would probably go into the thriller category.
Now, that's not to say that, that's not to say I didn't end up seeing, clips of, say, the original Halloween or Nightmare on Elm Street or, Children of the Corn or something. But, I was like you. When I was a kid, I don't think I was specifically scared of any of them. I think I was just kind of sheltered away from that content.
Right. That was more just how it was at our house.
Yeah, and it wasn't like they kept me from adult-oriented things. I mean, they weren't showing me porn, but like I could, if there was a movie with nudity or there was profanity, like profanity and maybe even a little bit of nudity in some films, I wasn't like prevented from watching. But anything that was considered scary, they kept me from. And so I think it was probably just The Shining. And I remember watching that at the Twilight Theater, the drive-in.
No, I'm trying to think. I want to say it was probably one of the Friday the 13th movies because I wasn't allowed to go see horror movies like in theaters when I was a kid, but any horror movie I did see would have been on television. So it could have been Child's Play or it could have been Friday the 13th because those were like the ones that were in like heavy rotation when I was growing up.
Sure.
In like the early 90s. So yeah, it would have probably been one of those two franchises. Probably more than most likely Friday the 13th though.
But anyways, what was our second submission that we had?
Next we have, sent by, _remind me of the babe _ on Reddit. When you are hosting, what's the ratio of authenticity versus BS as far as how you act?
Oh, 110%. What you get on the show is how you get me in real life.
Okay.
I mean, unless anybody wants to debate that.
No. I mean, I think it's true.
Yeah. I try to be pretty real.
I'm the same way. I definitely try to be a bit more animated for the show because, you know, this is supposed to be for entertainment. So it's like I try to, when I'm happy about something, I try to be really happy. Or if I'm upset about something, I try to be really upset, which we're going to get to later.
We are getting there.
But I don't ever want to come off being disingenuous. Like
right.
I may play devil's advocate for some conversations here and there. Like I may, you know, make points that I don't necessarily agree with just for the sake of the conversation.
Sure.
To try and do both sides. But no, I definitely, I'm not a good enough actor or, you know, performer to be something totally opposite than what I am.
Right.
I try to be pretty legit.
I mean, you seem to.
I try. What about yourself, Benoit?
I'm much more confrontational in person. Otherwise, yeah, here's what you get, really.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not here to start no shitter, but I'll talk shit all day.
Oh, well,
I'm all about that. But no, like I have no reason to. Even like you said, sometimes you're a little more animated. I don't really amplify my personality for the sake of recording my voice. No, what you hear is what you get. I'm gonna give you the same opinions, the same views.
Sure.
Be willing to talk about the same things, whether I'm recording a podcast or doing something live or not. It doesn't matter to me. What you hear is what you get.
Right. That's kind of, I mean, my view on it too. There's so much fake out there.
Yeah.
Why put on a show when our show can just be us?
Right. I think, you know, and I think this goes for all of us too. Like, you know, it's like we don't want it to be to the point where, you know, you're just listening to people talk, but at the same time, I don't think we're ever going to do anything out of character on the show or for the sake of the show or, you know, make proclamations on here that we wouldn't normally stand behind,
right.
You know, even if it's something controversial, like, you know, I'm sure all of our opinions are our own and, you know, we don't script any of this shit. Yeah. I mean, we have our talking points and shit, sure, but no, this is pretty much, yeah, what you hear. I guess is what you get, not what you see.
I'm not paid enough to
right, exactly. Yeah, shit.
Right.
I was gonna say now y'all start paying us and we'll put on a whole song and dance for you and shit. Like, sure.
No.
All right.
Oh no.
I don't sell out for nobody.
This is where Francine comes in, right here.
I don't sell out for nobody.
But okay.
On to our next submission. Sent by, _remind me of the babe _ on Reddit. Where do you record?
Now this is
in a
journey.
basement.
Yeah, no. This is like a journey because
we're in the lab right here. This is where the magic happens.
Right, exactly. Yeah, you're gonna get some real behind the curtain shit here. And I think I've kind of sort of talked about this before, but I mean, I'll answer it directly. When I first started doing this, I literally was in my basement recording on my phone, and I recorded that first episode probably like 6 times. before I finally was happy with it, and I still listened to it, and I'm like, I still am not happy with how it turned out. But at the time, I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't like research podcasting. All I knew is that I had something I wanted to say.
Yep.
And it was very specific too. That first episode, I was talking about Batman.
I would say
the first
episode
official
0.
episode, I talked about Star Wars: The Last Jedi. And then it just kind of evolved from there. Like, Mel jumped on about in the teens, I think, by that point. I think it was like episode 13 or 14 where you came in somewhere in there.
Yeah, double digits, but I don't think it was too far from 10.
Yeah. So, yeah, and when she came aboard, we tried doing it over Skype once when we did the Black Panther review, and that didn't work out too well. Then we started doing it at Mel's house. She had a spare bedroom.
Yep.
And
we would bounce back and forth between your spare bedroom and mine.
Yep. For a little bit before Mel came on, I recorded in the closet. And now I record in my dining room at home. The acoustics in here aren't too bad.
No.
They could be better, but it could be worse. Trust me, it could be a lot worse.
Yeah, it could. And most of the time I come here with you.
Yeah.
And we beam Ben in via...
Yeah, we're using Discord. Yeah,
Discord,
yep. And I don't know like what your like recording setup is there.
Well, it's a bit funny that we are within 20 minutes apart from one another, but we never do this at the same
I know,
place.
right? Yeah.
And my setup is actually a little more professional than yours. I'm actually on a PC with a desk in a room that was, for the most part, bought and paid for by viewers who watch me play video games on Twitch. Shout out to all my subs and fans. Thank you so much. I love you. Yeah, I'm doing this with a headset on with a studio microphone. I don't have any sound buffering or padding or anything on my walls, so I kind of have to make sure my filters are good so you don't pick up any background noise. Although occasionally you will hear like squeaky chair squeaky. And like if I take a drink or something.
Sure.
That's me doing that intentionally though to amplify the sound. But I record my own individual audio and then I send that over to the editor who splices and splices it all together, makes it sound good for all you listeners out there right now in the world. I record with the same program that I record my LPs if I ever really get to doing them again. My broadcasting software. I render my own stuff with some editing software, and then I just ship it off to him. I could get more specific, but for some reason I'm being oddly vague right now.
That's okay.
But I mean, if anybody like on a personal level wants to get more specific about what I use, I'd be more than happy to tell you. I'm not opposed to it, but I just, I recorded in my own bedroom here with a computer and some software, and I splicey. We ship it off to the Mr. MC Squared here, and he takes care of the rest.
Yeah, it was funny because when you were explaining that, when you were saying you send it up to the editor, I'm like, oh, it sounds like we got like an intern and shit. I was like, holy shit, I ain't got to edit these no more. That's great. Yeah, but yeah, no, and it's been a journey, and I mean,
intern we don't know about.
Right, yeah, very unpaid.
Making Francine earn her keep.
Pretty much, yeah. But no, I mean, and in time, in the future, I mean, depending on, how the show grows and how it's received and stuff, I would like to one day have a studio, like a remote location that we could go to. And
that would be
this.
cool.
So then, it's somewhere that we could all easily get to and not be, a burden on like my poor girlfriend, bless her heart. I'm like, especially on nights where we have to record till like 1-2 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, she's going to kill me. So yeah, if the podcast suddenly stops, that's why.
It's up to us, Ben. We got to keep it going.
Yeah.
we get it.
Hey, that's fine.
If we get a note saying, yeah, I killed off Mike in the middle of the night because he did that damn podcast again. It's just you and me.
Yeah, right. Episode.
Well, you know what? That actually gives me an idea. Let me put a question out there for the listeners. Technically, even though Mike likes to consider us all co-hosts, this is more like Mike's thing. How would you feel if we did a podcast every once in a while where either myself or DJ Melly Mel was the host and directed traffic? How would you feel about that?
Hey, now, don't be signing me up for shit.
she was like, you were putting way too much responsibility on me.
Hold that thought. I do my part. I send in articles.
Well, I was just thinking maybe we have like a ladies' night,
Like I said, because we had talked about this once before off mic too, and we're getting like way off topic, but
it's all right. It's our show. We can do that.
I would totally not be opposed to that because I would be interested to see like what you guys would come up with that you would want to talk about and shit because, as long as you tell me what I need to do for homework, I'm with it.
Y'all are killing me here.
But okay.
Next we have, sent by Jeffrey Urbina, at JeffreyUrbina1, on Twitter. Okay, who is a better mystery man? The Question or Nick Fury?
This is an easy answer. Nick Fury, hands down.
Yeah.
And you're probably not as familiar with the question. Well, he's a DC character, and he's shown up in Batman comics and stuff in the past.
He has.
And actually, Renee Montoya, the detective from Gotham, is currently the question. I don't know if, like, to date right now she is, but I know she was in the past fairly recently.
Yeah.
No, the reason that I say Nick Fury, hands down, is because Nick Fury in the Secret Wars arc, I think he had been killing like interdimensional demons and gods and all kind of shit that were like threats to the universe that the Avengers never actually battled against, and he killed them off in secret and was pretty much like behind the scenes, like, keeping balance of the universe. So I'm going to say Nick Fury. Plus, Sam Jackson plays him in movies. Like, you can't. And David Hasselhoff played him in a really terrible Nick Fury movie, so...
Yeah, we don't want to talk about that.
Yeah.
No, nobody wants to talk about that. I will also say Nick Fury, just because... Like, the question is okay, but... Other than the comics, we really don't see him... You know,
and Nick Fury runs S.H.I.E.L.D. and everything else.
Right.
And,
Nick Fury's got like 8 million different things going on at one time.
Yeah.
He's pushing in the new Avengers. He's running S.H.I.E.L.D. He's calling back old Avengers. He's got his finger in everything.
Yeah.
Whereas the question, he's just kind of...
I mean, he's a good detective, and he has some good stories.
Well,
and stuff,
sure.
But no, and I don't necessarily want it to be a popularity contest either, but Nick Fury, I think, hands down, easily. At least for me.
Yeah, for me as well.
I third that.
I think that this question is really not even a question. Is
that supposed to be a pun?
It was a very bad attempt.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Very bad attempt.
Oh, God. All right. Moving on.
That was a complete waste of time. The Yoo-Hoo-Mans seem to enjoy using your head jelly for useless endeavors. Alas, if you'd like to send more, you can do so on Twitter at GiantLeap4Geeks, or email them to officialoglfg@gmail.com. Now, fuck off.
The Supergirl show is, because we're not going to get a Batman or a standalone Superman show, apparently. So
of course not.
Yeah, the Supergirl show is pretty much filling that void, as the Batwoman show was going to be filling the Batman void. And we are getting a new Lex Luthor on Supergirl.
Oh my God.
Ducky!
So, if anyone doesn't know about this, I will give you the quick info dump here. I'm getting this from Superhero Hype. Now, this is from the producers of the show, Supergirl, on the CW. They said, "We are enormous fans of Jon Cryer, and he was instantly our dream actor to play the iconic role of Lex Luthor." Executive producers Robert Rovner and Jessica Queller said in a statement, "Jon is a super talent, and the fact that he played Lenny Luthor in Superman 4 brings an added layer of legacy to his casting. We're beyond thrilled to welcome Jon to the Supergirl family." So yeah, he plays Lex Luthor's like son or nephew or some such shit in Superman 4: The Quest for Peace or whatever the fuck it was called. Yeah.
I didn't like him then.
Yeah, now he's going to be Lex. It's a generational thing, what they're doing, you see? You don't understand.
I see.
These are deep cuts, Mel.
The son has become the father.
I get it, but...
That was a good Superman reference. Yeah, that was that line that, what's his face says. The guy who played the Godfather. Marlon Brando.
Marlon Brando.
Yeah. But anywho, go ahead.
All that's left is he needs to play the Holy Ghost, so they'll have all three covered.
Okay. So,
I got the notes for this week, and I
Mhm.
was going over them on my way here, as I often do. And I'm looking at it, and I was like, "What? Wait, no!" So I had to download the thing and blow it up and read everything, and I'm like, "Ah, hell! Why is John Cryer going to be Lex Luthor?" And
Yeah.
T Money was driving, and he's like, "Who's John Cryer?" I said, "You know who John Cryer is." He's like, I said, "The guy from 2.5 Men, Alan."
Mhm.
And he's like, "Oh, what kind of strings did he pull to
I
get
know.
this fucking
Who
job?"
did you suck to get on
Right?
Supergirl?
Like, and all I can think of when you said that they're fans of his is that they're 40-somethings who grew up watching him as Ducky in fucking 16 Candles or...
Yeah. But
Yeah.
at this...
Pretty.
Go ahead.
Oh no! I was going to say it wasn't 16 Candles. it
No,
was
Pretty in Pink. That's right. I knew it was one of the Molly Ringwald 80s movies.
But I think that he could play a evil genius. I could totally see that. I think though that he's gonna have the same issue that we had with Jesse Eisenberg playing Lex Luthor in Batman vs Superman.
Yes.
That he has a lot of like nerdy, squirmy, like little slimy traits that he's gonna have to get past. Now, don't get me wrong. There are elements of Luthor's character that are like that, but Luthor is supposed to be like... The whole thing between him and Superman is Lex Luthor doesn't like Superman because he feels that if Superman exists, then it will stunt the growth of the human race, because it's like we will never develop to the heights that we could potentially reach
Right.
or should be reaching, because we have this handicap of Superman, because Superman can do everything.
Right.
It's like, well, why would we ever... We just become complacent in our evolution, pretty much. And Luthor is like the pinnacle of like, you know, the human species. Like he's brilliant. He has all this money. He's in like great shape. He has all this technology and shit. And he's like, you know, this is what, you know, human beings should be worshiping and striving to be like, is more like me, an actual human being, as opposed to this like God who lives among us, who is not actually one of us. And in the comics, he kind of makes a pretty good point. Like I understand where he's coming from, and I think that's why he's a good villain.
Absolutely.
So
I'm not even a fan of Superman, but I do like Lex Luthor.
Oh yeah, no, Luthor's an awesome villain.
I had a hard time taking Jesse Eisenberg.
Yeah.
Had a hard...
Fucking, what's his name, from Facebook? I'm blanking on his name.
Mark Zuckerberg?
Yeah, just call him Mark Zuckerberg. That's what everybody knows him as.
Oh. I had a hard time seeing him as Lex Luthor because he has too many of those, like, he tries to be funny and he's tried to get this, like, edgy, squirrely thing going, and it doesn't work. And John Cryer is the same. Everything he's done has always had this nerdy humor to it.
Sure.
And even roles where he's tried to be serious, it's still there.
Yeah.
Like you can't wash it away. And I am worried that we're gonna get another Lex Luthor that's just not the right fit.
So man, this bitch ass.
Now I have to say, aside from Kevin Spacey, who played Lex Luthor,
yeah, and Superman Returns, yep.
I think that the guy that they had on Smallville, not giving much credit to Smallville.
Sure, yeah.
But Michael Rosenbaum,
he
played
was a good Lex.
A great Lex Luthor.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
And if they could just like get him back, that'd be great.
Yeah, no, I think the best like interpretation I've seen of Lex outside of the source material was probably like the Superman animated series.
Yep.
Like the Lex in that is what I think of when I think of Lex Luthor.
Yep.
And I get it, they're trying to evolve him to like current times, like, you know, he's a... Because I got what they were trying to do with Jesse Eisenberg.
Sure,
with,
I got
like, trying
it.
to make him like a millennial, like, you know, tech savvy, you know, kind of like social media company kind of...
Right.
Honestly, they would have probably had a better Lex if they would have just made Mark Zuckerberg, the real Mark Zuckerberg, Lex Luthor, because he's pretty much the Lex Luthor of our day right now. So I'm like, I I could see what they're trying to do.
It's just not executed well.
Yeah, but like I said, I think that John Cryer could play. I've never seen him, but there's something about him where I'm like, I could see him being like evil, and I could buy that.
It's the voice for me. If he can't get a good Lex Luthor voice, then it's not, because like you said, you're referencing the cartoon.
Yeah.
Which I can see that. Lex Luthor in the cartoon was a good reference point.
Right.
However, he had it like this deep kind of authoritative.
Right.
He was charismatic.
Yeah.
He
had this.
He was fit.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
He was, honestly, I want to see, think about this for a second. I want to see Chris Pine shaved bald.
That could be interesting.
All right. I could go for that.
I could see that. Yeah.
I could buy him as a guy who is wealthy, intelligent.
Sure.
I mean, he's already played Captain Kirk, so he has a couple of the qualities of Lex Luthor.
Sure.
Right there. Just make him bald and make him more of not a narcissist, but
to a degree, yeah, I would want him to be that.
I could go for that. Yeah,
because Lex Luthor, to me, he was always like if Tony Stark was evil,
right?
You know what I'm saying? Where he's like into himself and he knows he's the smartest guy in the room, and it's that he has all the answers and shit, but he's just not a bad guy,
right?
But he needs to have some kind of flaw in his bad guy demeanor, because even him and Superman weren't always 100% opposed. He had his like David Xanatos from Gargoyles.
Yeah, nice.
Where it's like, okay, wait a minute. Where he was like, even Luthor, as arrogant as he is, realizes when he's outclassed.
Yeah. And one thing about Luthor that I've always liked as a villain is he's never been that like stereotypical mustache twirling villain where he like, oh, I want to destroy the world or some shit. Like he has, at least in his mind, humanity's best interest in mind, and he's always trying to do what he thinks is the best for the human race.
Right.
So it's never like he just hates Superman and what Superman represents to him and how he thinks that Superman's holding it back.
Right.
So I mean, I don't know. I mean, and plus too, it's a fucking CW show.
Yeah,
like they not finna have.
That was my thought.
No, like high caliber ass, and no offense to people who like these shows, because I do like Flash. I liked Arrow for a while, but yeah, Supergirl's it's all right. But I mean, yeah, no,
they're CW shows.
Yeah, so it's like but to this day, I don't care what you would have to do. But you go and you get like a bunch of helicopters, a bunch of empty storage containers.
Mm-hmm.
You fill them with money. You fly those storage containers over Bryan Cranston's house, and then you dump all that money on him and say, please play Lex Luthor. Because I swear to God, if they could get Bryan Cranston to be Lex Luthor, because when the Batman vs. Superman movie came out and they were talking about putting Lex in it, before they said it was going to be Jesse Eisenberg, they were like, we may, people were like, get Bryan Cranston.
Right.
This was at like the peak of Breaking Bad popularity and shit.
I remember that. And man, I think I even saw memes of him photoshopped in as Lex Luthor.
I'm telling you, if they could get that to happen, man, they would get all the views. Like, their ratings would go through the goddamn
I'll
roof.
say they got to play Party Man as they drop it on him.
Because I'm just like...
Well, yeah, even if he's not as statuesque, he has the acting skill to make you kind of like look beyond the fact that he's not jacked, because he's still in decent shape.
Yeah. It's like I don't need that Lex to be necessarily buff and all that shit. It's like because his, like you said, his charisma and his intellect is the strongest things about him. Because in the comics, Lex becomes president after a while.
Yeah.
So it's like and think about the and not to try and get too political, but think about the kind of parallels you could draw to today's political, environment that we're in by having Lex Luthor be the president, which kind of sort of reminds me of somebody else who we will not talk about. But, I'm just like, there would be a lot you could do with that.
I don't see that. I don't see that comparison. To Trump, but,
Not the positive things, but just that we have let a supervillain take over the country.
Mike and Benoit's views do not necessarily reflect those who host the podcast One Giant Leap for Geeks. Put that disclaimer
Right.
right.
While DJ Melly Mel is sitting here applauding this.
Right,
so.
right. But all in all, I mean, I'm gonna give it a shot. I do need to catch up on this current season of Supergirl, and I'm willing to see what they do with him. I think he's not gonna be showing up until after this whole Elseworlds thing they're doing with Batwoman and all that stuff. But I'm gonna tune in just to see how he does, though. And if it's shit, I'll call it immediately. I won't even pretend like it's like, oh, we'll give it a chance. Like, no, if it's whack, it's whack.
Fuck that.
But anyway, moving on. I like Bill Maher. And this upsets me because I watched him. I've seen a few of his stand-up specials. I have seen back when he was on ABC with Politically Incorrect.
Mm-hmm.
I used to like that show.
Yeah.
I've watched a bunch of seasons of Real Time with Bill Maher on HBO. But he came out and said some shit to where I was like, somebody better get they fucking boy. Because he made a lot of people pissed off, and I'm going to tell you why, even if you aren't into superheroes and comic books and shit, why you should still be offended at this.
Right.
Okay, so I'm going to give you the info dump first, and then we'll go into it. So I'm getting this from the HuffingtonPost.com. They said the guy who created... Now, this is from Bill Maher's blog, and let me just give a little bit more context. He put out a blog on his website, and he was just talking about the death of Stan Lee, and this is just going to be some excerpts from said blog. Maher says, the guy who created Spider-Man and the Hulk has died, and America is mourning. Maher's blog post began, deep, deep mourning for a man who inspired millions to, I don't know, watch a movie, I guess. The basis of the criticism seems to originate from his belief that comic books are for children. He chided adults for deciding about 20 years ago that they didn't have to give up kid stuff. Maher said they pretended comic books were actually sophisticated literature. Maher then took the rather large leap from comics to the political system. I don't think it's a huge stretch to suggest that Donald Trump could only get elected in a country that thinks comic books are important. As you would expect, commenters on Facebook and the real-time site disagreed, and they were not kind. Some pointed to the countless numbers of children who learned to read from comics and the scores of artists and writers who found their careers after being inspired by Lee. The article goes on to say, don't you own part of the Mets, said one Facebook user. You know, a bunch of guys who get paid obscene amounts of money to play a children's game and take it way too seriously. Indeed, Maher does own a stake in the Mets. Says the guy who smokes pot like a college student, said another reader. The vast majority of the comments simply describe the rant as tone deaf or sounding like an old man telling kids to get off his lawn. Oddly enough, Maher didn't seem to mind appearing in Marvel's Iron Man 3, though. We should note the scene did end up being deleted. So, the blog is much longer than that, but... Basically, he just says we're all a bunch of grown-up babies and we're stupid for caring about Stan Lee or comic books and pop culture in general, and that it's our fault that Trump is president. And I'm like, how do you make that leap in logic? Like, okay, I just want to break this down. I can understand your argument to say, yes, our generation, like Zennials and Millennials, we may be too into nostalgia and we may have latched on to things from our childhood that we not necessarily should have grown out of, but put more importance on than what we probably should. Like the fact that more people watched the trailer for Star Wars The Last Jedi than did the, political debates is not necessarily a good thing for the country or just society in general.
But
that being said, though...
But there's reason for it.
Right, but my thing is, that being said, though, who are you or anyone else to judge that as something negative? Like, as long as that is not negatively affecting your life and the world and politics in general, like, no one's, like, voting for, Iron Man 2020. Like, this is not, like, the fact that you would even make a correlation between the political system and a political party that you don't care for and a president that you don't care for and people being into comic books and shit, I find kind of insulting, really.
Very.
Because in the blog, he talks about how people that dumb people kept reading comic books, and then they grew up to be professors, and then they're teaching the kids to be dumb, and this, that, and the other, and blah blah blah. And it's just this whole like cycle of this stupid stuff. Yeah, like there's a guy. I think Greg Pulo. He said on Twitter, I never speak on topics I know little or nothing about. Why? I never want to be a fool. In other words, I don't want to make Bill Maher out of myself. and I mean, it's I don't know. Like, this is gonna sound kind of corny, but I genuinely believe this to be true. Comic books are our modern myths.
Sure.
This is our equivalent to cave paintings or stories we would tell to kids around a campfire. You know, things that you would make statues to, and these are our Greek gods. These are our myths. This is our modern day mythology. And to ignore the significance of that is really short-sighted and kind of egotistical, because in the future, when other cultures and societies look back on this point in time, we will be judged off of our arts and the things that we, you know, as a culture found to be entertaining.
Right.
Like a lot of people study different cultures off of what they did for entertainment.
Right.
And it says a lot about society, about the things that the stories that you told yourselves. Because stories hold importance. And it's not just me being a fanboy and shit. It's like there is cultural importance to these stories. If not, these characters wouldn't be around for well over 100 some odd years. Like, it's not like this is a fad that's just going to fade away. It's like you're trying to make it seem like comic books and superheroes came about 20 years ago. Like, no, this has always been a thing.
Right.
And I don't know. It really rubs me the wrong way.
Oh, you and me both. Like,
without reading the blog, it sounds, from what I'm hearing, as very, very short-sighted and oversimplified.
Yes, it does.
He doesn't seem to know enough about the cultural impact, and the fact that he seems to associate, I guess, comics as being infantile or adolescent or immature. That itself is an ignorant statement, and so just from that basis alone, his thesis is completely incorrect. And the fact that he's literally using somebody's death as a mean to insult other people is fucking disgusting. I'm a fan of Bill Maher, generally speaking, but without reading it, just hearing from what I've heard a little bit from you in that excerpt from the HuffPost, he's fucking wrong on multiple levels.
You know, we've had several big-name celebrity deaths lately. Some of them, I've looked and I'm like, oh, that's really sad. They died.
Sure.
You know, I always send my condolences out to their family and those who are close to them that cared about them. Also, this is something that affects me. I've always been a fan of Stan Lee. Always. And I actually had to explain to my grandma who he was the night he died.
Right, and why why
everybody was so upset, and who he was as not just the comic book creator, but he opened up so many different avenues of things that we would have never thought of.
And not only that, I mean, like they even say in the article, like, think about how many people his characters inspire to go on to do things in any medium.
Sure.
Like, it didn't even necessarily have to be comic books or drawing or stuff like that. Just storytelling in general.
And I remember there was a quote from Stan himself that said he created his characters to have everyday flaws to make them relatable.
Yep.
And, you know, you see, we'll take Spider-Man because that was his baby.
Sure.
Okay. If you go back and you look at Spider-Man is a kid.
Yep.
And other than having to face all these crazy changes that he has to face being Spider-Man, and now put all this weight on him of being this, you know, protector of New York City, we also have to look at the fact that Spider-Man was bullied.
Yep.
Spider-Man had to deal with death of a family member. Spider-Man had to deal with, you know, not necessarily always getting the girl
Yeah.
or having to kind of fight his way to prove himself.
Yeah, and I mean, like economic problems. Like he's
Yeah.
one of the few superheroes that ever actually, like, got evicted because they
Yep.
couldn't pay their rent, and stuff like that because he couldn't hold down a job and
Right.
shit. It's like these.
These are normal everyday problems
Yeah.
that most people, especially nowadays, are going through. You
Yeah.
know, how high is the bullying rate in our schools?
Right.
How high is the poverty level?
Mhm.
We have an exceedingly high amount of people in poverty that are not just your typical, oh, well, you're gonna not work and live in a trailer and
Sure.
whatever the stereotypical versions of poverty are.
Mhm.
You've got somebody working 45 and a half hours a week
Mhm.
trying to make it. Or you got somebody who's working 2 jobs and they still can't pay their rent.
Mhm.
Or you've got, families who aren't necessarily a traditional family. You got kids being raised by their aunts and uncles,
Yep.
grandparents.
Mhm.
Parents aren't in the picture for whatever reason. And yet they're still trying to make it.
Yeah.
Our comic books are not only an escape from that, but it's a relation to that.
Mhm.
Like, we can relate to all of that, and that's something that I think Ben pointed out. It's very oversimplified. Like, this isn't just it's a book with pictures and onomatopoeia words. It's real life, and for most of us, that's why we connect so deep, is because it's real for us. Maybe not the characters, but we all know somebody that's had to go through something like that. And so I don't know much about Bill Maher, but I've seen him on different political posts and talk shows and such, and he's gonna get a lot of backlash for this for quite some time. This was not a very wise statement on his part, and to relate that to a specific political party was kind of asinine to begin with.
Yeah. I'm actually looking at here. Something else on the HuffPost. I guess this was put out by like Stan Lee's. It just says signed by Team Stan, so I'm guessing probably his daughter and like managers.
Probably
and
the
stuff
people
like
that run his Twitter,
estate and
his,
shit. Yeah.
his social media account. and stuff.
It's pretty lengthy, so I'm not going to read the whole thing. I'm just going to go down here towards the bottom. It says, our shock at your comments makes us want to say, "Nuff said, Bill," but instead we will rely on another of Stan's lessons to remind you that you have a powerful platform, so please remember, with great power, there must also come great responsibility. And I think that, because they go on to say in that open letter that, the fact that he is trying to just, say like, oh, Stan inspire people just to, go see a movie or something like that is like really ignorant and insulting.
Well, yeah.
To his legacy and to
Because
his
it
memory.
ignores everything that
Yeah.
he's built. Stan had to fight his way into the comic world.
Well, not only that, but it's like, people of their day are not ever really appreciated until they're gone. Like, Shakespeare and Charles Dickens and people like that weren't appreciated for what they were until they had died and many decades had passed. Like I said, people will study this point in time and they will use these things as references to how our society was shaped and just how people, what we looked up to and aspired to be for like heroes and what we
Sure.
thought heroism should look like.
Sure.
Like every society and culture has their equivalent to a superhero.
Of course.
It may not necessarily be written in comic books and stuff, but all the way back, as far back as recorded history, there's always stories of heroes, whether it be Samson or Jesus or somebody.
Yep.
So yeah, like that really like kind of pissed me off, and it just made me feel like it, especially with the relating it to Trump thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, it's one thing to say you think this stuff is childish and we should let this go. It's another thing entirely to try and say the thing in politics that's happening that I don't like, this is your fault.
Right.
It's like, I get so sick of reading those articles that are like, oh, millennials are ruining, restaurants and millennials are ruining this, that, and the other. And it's like, No.
Trying to better things.
Yeah, it's like things change. Like the status quo changes over time. Things aren't always going to be stagnant and be the same.
Right.
And for you to try and take one generation and say, because you guys like video games and comic books, that's why the world's all going to shit. The majority of people who voted Trump into office are not a part of our generation.
No, they don't play video games or
I'm
comic
like
books.
they're part of Maher's generation, or even younger than us. So it's
Sure.
like, and us as well too. But I'm like,
Yeah, we kind of fall into the older.
right. We're more Zennials than Millennials.
Either which
but
way.
whatever. But either way, the point still remains the same, that they worded it perfectly in an article. He sounds like an old man yelling at kids to get off his lawn.
Yeah.
It's like, you don't like the way the world has changed and what we have become, and so any ailments that you think are in the world, you are trying to blame it on us because we are in your mind, a fringe group, I guess. And I'm just like, comic books and superheroes and shit have infiltrated mainstream culture to the point where you can't differentiate. You will never get beat up again or made fun of because you like Spider-Man. Like,
Right.
that will never happen again. Like, for the rest of time going forward now, because it's become so accepted.
Right.
So for him to be like bucking against that, I'm just like, I mean, sure, you can have your opinion, but why are you choosing now, during the morning of people, celebrating the life of Stan and his legacy, decide to just shit on that and shit on his memory and everything else?
Yeah, and this article come out not long after he died.
Yeah, it was
I
like
think
a
it
couple
was like
days.
2 days.
Yeah.
That's really soon.
Yeah. And Armie Hammer, he came out on Twitter and said some kind of silly shit about people posting pictures of, like, celebrities posting pictures with Stan, and it's like, oh, you're trying to make this about you and this, that, and the other, and it's like, or maybe
No.
we're celebrating the life of this person and, sharing our experience that we had by meeting him.
Right.
And it's like, I don't know. I'll probably just sound like a raging nerd right now, but like that really upset me, because I was like, you're being very ignorant right now for no reason. It's like, and there's little to no one who's came to his defense as far as I've seen.
I
on
want to say,
this.
look at all the people who were upset when Prince died.
Yeah.
Look at all the people who
Right.
were...
It's like, oh, he just played a guitar and sung songs
Look
and
at,
shit.
and, even the stuff that he... Yeah,
like Whitney
the stuff
Houston
that
or somebody
happened
like that,
when
yeah.
Aretha Franklin died,
Yep.
Whitney
Yep.
Houston,
Mhm.
Michael Jackson, even
Yep.
though he had his flaws.
Yep. Yeah,
You know?
it's like celebrities and
I
big
would
people
say
die all the time.
Robin Williams.
Yeah, and people
Everybody's
mourn
going...
and cry and shit, and it's just like...
It's part of the business. If you're in our entertainment industry
Mhm.
and you have made a very good name for yourself, it's going to happen. People are going to mourn you. You're going to have touched them. 8 billion people on this planet. You can't tell me that somebody wasn't affected.
Yeah, no. And I think Neil Gaiman said it best. He put out in a tweet that basically had said, more people care about Stanley's death than care about Bill Maher as he's living today. So it's like, like Stan Lane, like, nobody asked your opinion on this, and it's like, you're more than welcome to it, but don't get pissy when people have the right to come back and talk shit at you as well.
Right.
But yeah. Anyway, off of that, moving on. I haven't had a chance to play Fallout yet, 76 yet, but I did want to talk about video games for a bit. Since Fallout 76 has just released, I just wanted to discuss video games in general, and should video games change? And what I mean by that is, should video game developers chase trends?
No.
Right.
I knew Ben was going to have an opinion.
Me and Benoit had kind of talked about this, and basically, if you don't know what Fallout 76 is, Fallout, the, franchise is, they used to be just point and click RPGs, basically, like top-down RPGs on PC, and then they, evolved to where they're on consoles and stuff like that now. But they're really deep, immersive role-playing games that take place in America in the future after World War III, pretty much. and China, Russia, and the U.S. all got into a big nuclear war, and the planet's pretty much just all fucked up. And it's a story about the people who survived that in these underground bunkers called vaults, and then you're trying to go out and rebuild society or adapt to the way the world is now that the nuclear fallout has happened. And it's this current iteration is the first one that is not going to be a single campaign solo, RPG game where you get quests and there's non-playable characters that you interact with and have allies and stuff. This one is going to be completely online. There are no NPCs and it's just other online players. So just think GTA Online set in Fallout is basically the easiest way to describe it. And a lot of people are upset about that because they feel that Fallout isn't Fallout anymore.
Okay.
And I can understand their argument. So before we get into this, I don't want to sound like I don't like change. Like, I don't want to...
Okay, Bill Maher.
Yeah, I know. I was just thinking, I don't want to be Bill Maher and sit here and be on my pedestal of, well, everything should be like this, that, and the other, and blah, blah, blah. I'm more interested in discussing how much can you change something before it stops being that thing anymore. Like, say, for example, in the thumbnail for this episode, I found this picture of Master Chief in like a chef's uniform, like the chef hat and the apron, spatulas, the whole thing. And just basically, like, if you were to take a game, like, say, for example, Halo, and for a while, like, cooking games were popular for a bit, and they still have some level of popularity.
Mobile
and it's like
games.
what if you start integrating that into the Halo universe? It's like, is it still Halo at that point?
I don't think so.
Master Chef Chief.
Yeah, exactly. and it's like, I don't...
I'm sorry, that's funny. I'm going to mute myself for a second. That's funny.
No. And it's like, I don't begrudge developers for trying to...
Fucking salt that.
for trying to do something that's trendy or popular.
Right.
But at the same time, it's like, how much can you change something until it's not recognizable anymore?
I mean, that's a fine line with anything, but these video games that are specific to a certain content, and then you want to add in all of these different add-ins, why don't you just produce another game? Why do you have to call it?
Thank you. That's always my thing.
I mean,
Bethesda's a big enough studio to where they could put out anything and people would probably buy it. You don't necessarily had needed name recognition to make this game.
I mean, if you wanted the name recognition, you could go from the makers of Halo or from the makers of Fallout.
Yeah.
I think that we want things to kind of continue with these sagas that keep going.
Sure.
Because we run out of ideas and we're like, oh, well, we'll just throw this in with this one. This one's running well. Or, this one seems to be doing all right.
Right.
So
Fortnite's popular, so we'll do that. Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm not a current gamer.
Sure.
So this doesn't affect me as much.
Sure.
But I know that Ben is, and you are moderately.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
Even if you go back to the old games, like say you're playing Mario, and you're playing Mario, and you have all the typical characters that come about with Mario, and then the typical storylines. You have to save the princess, and you ride with Yoshi, and all this fun stuff. Well, then throw a machine gun in the middle of that, and
you got like a boss fight against somebody from Contra or some shit.
You got like GTA boss,
Well,
like
actually,
you drive around
fun
like.
fact, Mario was initially supposed to be that like defender, shoots a gun,
Well, yeah, but
side scrolling.
you're not gonna put Mario in a GTA car and have him drive around looking for hookers or nothing.
Fuck yeah, we would.
But that's one of the things though that's kind of like the point I'm trying to make about like I'm not knocking innovation because
Right.
Mario is actually a perfect example. The Mario franchise has evolved so much
Sure.
from the side scroller games from the original Nintendo
Absolutely.
to the point where as far as a traditional Mario game is almost unrecognizable from its roots. I mean, yes, it still has some core gameplay elements, but there's Paper Mario. He's in the Super Smash series.
Yep.
There's Mario Kart. You know, I think there's like a dance game or something with Mario or something like that. So it's like, I'm not saying that you can't change the games at all.
Right.
I just think that there has to be. It has to be for a reason that is, at least in my mind, like it's a gimmick that you're doing because it's something that you think would work for this particular franchise. Like, I don't necessarily think that Fallout is a multiplayer game, at least in my mind. And I know, like, you haven't played Fallout, but I'm sure Benoit's pretty familiar with it. And it's like, I think kind of the charm of Fallout is exploring on your own and coming across these new villages and meeting these NPCs and like finding out the lore of the world and stuff like that. I'm like, when you strip all that away and it's just like, well, we'll throw some monsters in there and some, you know, other online players and y'all just kind of go at it. It's like, well, then it's just a big battle royale game, you know, in an open world with just some creatures here and there.
Right, right.
Yeah, at that point, it's either a shooter like a Fortnite or a PUBG, or else you're playing something more of like a community builder, like, say, a Rust or a...
Minecraft.
Minecraft.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes. Which it basically...
Like, is H1Z1? Is this Rust? Like, what, are we just doing this in the Fallout universe?
Which basically is what it kind of feels like, because the whole premise is you're supposed to be helping rebuild, you know, the world after the whole thing in this game, and you and the other online players can, like, you know, make bases and all this other stuff. There's a lot of building mechanics in this, and
it's like an RTS, but you're playing in first person.
Yeah, mm-hmm. Yeah, and I don't know, like, do you think that these things are going to... Like I don't know, like the whole battle royale thing, the whole like always online, you know, massive multiplayer, you know, game. Do you think that this is like, since we've crossed that threshold, can we go back from that? Like, do you think there will be a resurgence in single player games?
Absolutely. It's very cylindrical. It's gonna cycle back around to where people just want to get their own personal experience with something, where you're going to need to have single-player campaigns, or hell, just look at the indie circuit of games, man. There's a lot of games that are just meant as, like, one-player local style, a lot of retro-style games, because a lot of indie devs, either they just love that style because they're older guys like us, or that's really all they can really make at the moment, whatever the case may be.
Right.
I think this is just a current trend. It's going to eventually fade away. It's going to eventually fade away by either people getting bored with it, or by, like, the elite class driving away the ones who newly want to get into it. It's in probably the next, 10, 15 years, it'll become a trope in itself. Like, nah.
Yeah.
Because you can only reinvent the wheel so many times.
Yeah, because and I mean, I don't think that, like, online play is going to completely, go away, but I think they will integrate it better. And it won't just be, hey, we just build this world and then we just populate it with players and just let them go at it. Like, they're going to have to find ways to, as far as storytelling and, making game design with, like, quests and stuff like that, to make it give you a purpose in the world besides just bullshit. Because the beauty of GTA Online is you can do anything you want to do. If you just want to go kill prostitutes, if you want to blow people up, you want to break into army bases, if you want to actually play missions and make money, you can do that. You have those options. But for the most part, a lot of people just are in there just to fuck around.
Right.
But those games have always had this air of, we don't really take this seriously. This is just all for fun, to just kind of get out some of your, darker impulses and just, fuck shit up. That's fine. Fallout isn't that, and like a lot of other games aren't that. Like, now Call of Duty has not been realistic for a long time, but Call of Duty started integrating zombies into their games, and people kind of resisted that when it first came, but we've gotten so used to it now that zombies is now like a staple of the Call of Duty games. And now with this newest Call of Duty, Blackout, I think is what it is, they basically have a PUBG, Fortnite type, battle arena where you just dump a bunch of people in. There's a bunch of weapons and shit around, and you just got to try to survive within the amount of time before the round ends.
So like a extreme laser tag type thing?
Kinda.
Dumbed down, simplified?
And your play area
that's been
is
around
like...
for a minute. That was in the previous installment. It was pretty much just online zombies.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Zombies came to be back when the 360 was out. World at War, I believe, was the first Call of Duty game with an actual zombies side game in it.
Yep. Mm-hmm. No, I agree. I think, though... I think that there's a legitimate argument that can be made about making single-player experiences online, but I don't think that you should strip away everything that made the game what it is, because that's kind of like what pissed people off about the Resident Evil. Excuse me. That's kind of what pissed people off about the Resident Evil games, is that they went so far away from survival horror into more just action horror that it stopped really feeling like Resident Evil after a while. Because I think it's is it after, I think after like 5, like they pretty much just like didn't even feel like Resident Evil anymore.
Well, no, even 4 didn't feel like.
Is that the one when Leon comes back?
Yeah,
where it's like
that was their Gen 6 GameCube PS2.
Yeah, because that was when they started doing the over the shoulder shit, when they stopped doing the fixed camera.
Yeah, it became more of an action game than a survival horror.
Yeah. And I don't think Resident Evil's ever been the same since then. I mean, Resident Evil's still popular, but I mean, so much so to where they're remaking Resident Evil 2 because there is, like you said, there's always going to be a market for people that, are going to still appreciate the franchise for what it was. I mean, yes, it's going to be updated. It's not going to be fixed cameras anymore and stuff like that. We're not going back to that per se, but it's kind of like, like Capcom and like other developers that are doing similar things, kind of realizing we've gotten too far away from what made these games fun. And we're so busy trying to chase what's popular that it's not recognizable anymore.
Well, in the case of Resident Evil, 7 was a nice medium between the action elements that became accustomed from 4 and 6 and going back to almost like a first-person survival horror. Well, the first 3 games were not first-person, but still, it was a good callback to survival horror, and it seems like they're going to go the same route with the 2 remake, which I want to get my hands on when it comes out, because 2 and Nemesis, as far as I'm aware of, are the only 2 of the original series that have not had like a remaster.
Yes. Yeah. Well, did Code Veronica get one?
I don't know, but even though technically it's canon, I don't consider that like one of the original numerical games.
Sure, yeah. That was like one of the first like kind of spin-off-y ones.
It was like a side story.
Yeah. But
I would love to be able to play 2 and Nemesis remastered.
Oh yeah.
Even if the gameplay, like even if the engine's different, so be it.
Oh yeah. Because I'm still on that bandwagon for where's our Final Fantasy VII remake. So I'm still waiting for that shit, which supposedly is coming at some point or another, but who knows? I was gonna say I just want to play as Cloud again. I'm good, and I'll be happy.
We don't need any more FF7 remakes. Stop. Drill, baby, drill. No, you've beaten that horse to death. No.
I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't know. Like, I know some people have their favorites, but I don't know if like there's a general consensus if 7's like probably everybody's favorite, or at least probably the most talked about of all of them.
It's if you're going to talk Final Fantasy, it's generally speaking, it comes down to the argument between which is better, 6 or 7.
Yeah. And I like them both equally. I just think I have more of a connection to 7. But still, either way. I mean, I didn't want to have this conversation to try and shit on, Fallout 76. I have not even had a chance to play it yet. The reviews I've seen about it have been mixed, and a lot of people's complaints is that it just doesn't feel like Fallout anymore. So I just kind of just wanted to just talk about, what it means to quote unquote innovate something, and when are you just trying to chase a trend, because this is what's cool right now. Because anytime you do one of these like always online multiplayer games, they're putting a lot of money into, making servers for this shit and maintaining the game and doing updates and DLCs and stuff. So this is an investment. Like, this isn't just a one and done game and they're just going to walk away from it. This is something they have to commit to. So in Bethesda's eyes, at least, they must see at least a somewhat long-term, business model to have this and make it, worthwhile investing all the money into it. But I guess we'll see. But anyway, is there anything else that you guys want to make any one last comments on before we go?
I don't think so.
I am envisioning Master Chief taking off his helmet and it just being Gordon Ramsay.
We finna take these aliens to Flavor Town.
Yeah, Master Chef Chief in my head right now. I want to see that become a thing.
God.
Nah, man, just gotta finish The Messenger, fire up Yakuza 0, play some of that. Gonna be pulling some all-nighters. It's gonna be fun. Prepping for Black Friday. Boo.
Yeah.
Other than that, man, nah, I'm good.
Yeah, so kids, if you don't get a podcast next week, it's probably because we died in the Black Friday madness. So
Yes.
just pray for our safe travels during this holiday where we're supposed to be thankful, and then we turn around and fight each other over, Swiffer mops and shit. But hey, whatever. This
Hey,
is
I'm not
America.
fighting anybody. Now, my sister-in-law has already said that she is not above throwing punches.
No, see.
So,
Well, I was gonna say, like I said, next week, DJ Melly Mel will be coming to us live from the local penitentiary. Like, would you like
County
to take
Jail.
a collect call?
It'd be my one phone call, so y'all better put some money on my account.
Hell yeah. We'll just have you do a little mini review or something and then let you go before the guards start telling you.
I do want to have a quick sidebar.
Sure.
Ben can't see me, but I've been getting some strange looks from Mike as I've been geeking out the last, 10 minutes or so. They were talking about video games, and I recently learned that you can hire MC Hammer to come officiate your wedding.
Okay.
Oh, has he been ordained?
I guess so.
Okay.
I knew he was doing some stuff, but I didn't realize he was actually ordained legally to be able to.
Yeah.
Okay.
MC Hammer can officiate your wedding. So.
Reverend Hammer, please.
Yes. Yes. So,
Deacon Hammer.
I am
Brother Hammer.
just
welcome.
putting that out there that
Welcome to the congregation, Brother Hammer.
my wedding is quite a ways off. However, this is the one thing that I will splurge on is to get MC Hammer to come to my wedding and officiate my wedding.
Only way he finna officiate my wedding, he gotta wear hammer pants.
Yes.
He's gotta wear hammer pants.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
gotta get on them parachutes.
Yes, and the vest.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end,
Yeah, no shirt with that vest on and the parachute pants.
at the end, instead of saying you can kiss the bride, he's got to say, stop. It's hammer time.
Right. No. You go in for the kiss, and then he pulls her back, and he be like, you can't touch this. Do. Okay.
Yes.
All right, so...
Speak now or forever hold your peace.
Right.
Uh-oh.
And on that note, kids, we're going to leave you...
I was just going to say, if you guys like video games, check me out on twitch.tv/Benoit. That's BENWAH.
That is it for the show. Remember, you can always find us at our home, onegiantleapforgeeks.libsyn.com, or on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play Music, or anywhere else you get your podcasts. Make sure to show us some love, so go ahead and hit that like, subscribe, rate, follow, review, and all that shit.
And if you have any comments, questions, concerns, criticisms, or you just want to say hi, you can email us at officialoglfg@gmail.com. You can also find us on Twitter, and you can find us by looking for @GiantLeap4Geeks. We are on Facebook, Reddit, Instagram, Snapchat, Pinterest. our list ever
Right,
growing.
TikTok. No,
Yeah.
We're not on
All you have to do is search for One Giant Leap for Geeks. All right, you guys have a good night. Bye.